Hello, I'm Taylor. My pronouns are they, theirs, and them.
Okay.
Taylor Mason, a brilliant hedge fund magnate who also happens to be the first major non-binary character on American television.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm thrilled to have you, both you and your character, Taylor, identify as gender non-binary, and I have heard that...
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah! I always felt ambiguous about my gender identity, but I didn't have the language for it. You know, from a young age, I knew that I wasn't a boy or a girl, but I certainly didn't have the language for it, nor did I have any representation either of a real person or a fictional character who was non-binary but hadn't changed their body. My name is Asia Kate Dillon. My pronouns are they, theirs, and them. I use the pronouns they, them, and theirs, the singular use of those pronouns. I use these pronouns instead of he or she, or many countless options, because these pronouns feel right to me. I use them because they feel right, frankly. As someone who identifies as both transgender and gender non-binary, my gender identity falls outside the boxes of man and woman. I am not a man or a woman. I feel that my gender identity is fluid, and to me, they, them, theirs is the best representation of that for me. I've always struggled with my gender identity, even before I had language to put to what that struggle was. Taylor is female and non-binary. And I thought, well, how can those two things coexist, right? Mm-hmm. When I came across the character breakdown for Taylor Mason, the character that I play on Billions, it said female non-binary. As I do, I did a little bit of research. And so after doing some research, I understood, oh, sex and identity are different. Female is a sex, and sex is between our legs, and gender identity is between our ears. So that is how I'm able to identify as non-binary, but also female. It was a moment of pure freedom. Since then, I feel that I have been living the most in my truth that I ever have been. Young people saying, I never thought I would come to an understanding of my gender identity, and then I saw Taylor on TV and I understood something about myself and I felt less alone. Parents coming up to me telling me that their kid is non-binary and they were able to really be there for their kid and have a greater understanding because of this show, Billions, and this character that they love.
And certainly that is not what I would have predicted watching season 1, is that it would be a teaching tool for parents.
It's from people of all ages from across the world who are reaching out to say, I'm non-binary too, or I'm gender fluid, or I'm trans, and having representation means so much and I feel less alone. Art affecting real change that is making the world a safer place. That's an example of art affecting real change, really changing people's hearts and minds.
I'm Adam, and my pronouns are he, him, his.
And I'm Asia. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs. If you make a mistake and you misgender someone, just correct yourself. And it's really important to be the first person in a room that says your pronouns, because you are then, as an ally, helping to create a safe space for everyone to feel comfortable. Assigned sex and gender identity are two different things.
It just is a hard thing to get used to, because we're used to saying she and he, and that's just, but we don't know about, and I just want to be respectful of and understanding it.
We all make mistakes, and I think, for the most part, we all have to be willing to learn and grow together. It's a learning process for us, too, so of course it's going to be a learning process for everyone. Taylor Mason here was someone who identified as non-binary, is a trans person, but hadn't changed their body. That's not part of their journey. It all just fell into place because I had the language for the first time. You finally understand me.
I think a lot of people really don't understand this. It's very confusing, and the more that they hear and see people like you and hear it, what we're supposed to...
Asia hopes to change norms and is using their newfound platform to become a role model for others. Recently, becoming an advocate for the Gender and Family Project in New York.
I came out as, non-binary at, I think, 2.5.
I knew it never felt right to be a girl, but that I also didn't feel like a boy either, and so I just always tried to be me. It is unreasonable to me that because I am female, I should also have to be a girl or a woman. I exist outside of the binary ideological system, which is just one of the ideological systems that have been created in order to justify and uphold social, political, and economic oppression. Systems which result ultimately, and this is a truth that no one can escape, in the separation of us all, every one of us, from ourselves and from our humanity.
Supergirl made history with TV's first ever transgender superhero. Fans got a first look at the character Nia Nall, played by trans actress Nicole Maines.
You were assigned male when you were born, and you have an identical twin brother.
Jonas, yes.
Okay, and at what age did you know that that was not right for you?
Probably 3, 4 years old.
I've known I was trans since I was 3 years old.
So my father grew up very conservative.
And that wasn't easy for my dad to accept. He's an Air Force veteran and has always been a conservative New Englander.
It took a while, but when our family was attacked, when we were in elementary school, he really stepped up.
But because of the expectations that my father had, it was harder for him to accept his child as transgender. He had to rewire his entire way of thinking. He wasn't prepared, and he didn't have the information on how to raise a transgender kid.
We did a gradual transition. I started transitioning when I was in 1st grade.
And we all decided on a gradual transition.
And every year we kind of tacked a new thing onto it. Like, okay, this year you're gonna wear pink. This year you're gonna grow your hair out.
Starting with pink, wearing my hair longer.
A male student in my class's grandfather was a part of a special interest Christian right group.
And his grandfather was part of a special interest Christian right group. And he didn't think that my using the girls' bathroom was okay at all.
And he had his grandson follow me into the girls' bathroom.
His grandson follows me into the girls' bathroom one day.
And, you know, he said,
"My grandpappy says that we don't have to have any faggots in our school." My grandpappy says that we don't have to have any faggots in our school.
My grandfather says we don't have to have any faggots in our school.
We went to court and we won.
The visibility behind the role on a show as big as Supergirl isn't the only thing Nicole Maines has to celebrate. Back in 2014, the 21-year-old won a case that allowed trans students to use bathrooms that fit their gender identity in schools throughout Maine.
GLAAD helped us get our story to news outlets across the country. And I wasn't just fighting for me, though. We were fighting for all LGBTQ people.
It feels like we're really at a moment now for trans representation on television. Why do you think it's taken so long?
You know, I think we've had trans representation in television for a while, but it hasn't been the right kind of representation.
You're a great example, and the trans community needs more representation on television, so good for them for casting you and good for you for making history.
You know, I think we're in a time right now where more than ever representation in the media matters. And this changes the way people think about us. Every positive representation brings a sense of normalcy and human connection to LGBTQ people like me. And what we see on television has a very dramatic effect on our society. The fact that I was transgender was not big news to these kids. And they made me feel like it was the most normal thing in the world. Because it is.
The things that make us different, those are our superpowers.
You have the power to help someone by imagining more than 2 boxes, male or female. We can be whoever we want, we can do whatever we want, that we can be superheroes. Because in many ways we are. I'm on Supergirl, playing Nia Nall, the first transgender superhero on television. Being a superhero, first of all, and then also being the first trans superhero on television.
We must use our superpowers to be the change we wish to see in the world.
It feels fitting to say that with great power comes great responsibility. People, especially trans kids, will be able to look at the television and see a superhero like them for the first time, and to feel, you know, like, wow, I can be a superhero. I'm terrified of letting down any of the young people that are seeing themselves as a superhero for the first time.
His 3-year-old saw the movie, and when the movie ended, the boy said, "When I grow up, I want to be a woman."
And more trans kids are being supported by their parents and by their peers rather than shunned.
No one is free until we all are free.
As artists and filmmakers, I believe that it's not only our job to entertain, but our duty to inspire and educate for love and respect.
There is never time in the future in which we will work out our salvation. The challenge is in the moment. The time is always now.
Transgender people have stepped into the spotlight, and we are never going back.
The future of equality, how we get there, and what is at stake.
Band together to make strides, uniting for equality.
What is at stake, and this is going to sound a bit mystical,
You have the power.
our very own souls.